Okay, welcome in. I'm now going to be reviewing Tuesday's action from the Major League Baseball season. Starting with the Milwaukee Brewers, they were playing host to the Minnesota Twins. The Brewers would prevail. 3-2 would be the final score on this one. They are still undefeated on the season. They have a record of 4-0. After the loss, the Twins have dropped to 2-2. Elvis Guerrera would get his second win of the season. Louis Varland would suffer the loss, and Abner Uribe would get his third save of the season. The Kansas City Royals went into Baltimore to take on the Orioles. They would get the victory in this one. 4-1 would be the final score, getting their second win of the season. They are now sitting at 2-3. After the loss, the Orioles are 3-2. Alec Marsh would get his first win of the season. Cole Irvin would suffer the loss, 0-1, and Will Smith would get his first save of this young season. The Cincinnati Reds went into Philadelphia to take on the Phillies. Phillies would win this one 9-4 would be the final score. With the win, they are now 2-3. The Reds are now 3-2. Spencer Turnbull would get the victory. Graham Ashcraft would suffer the loss, and Ricardo Pinto would get the save for the Phillies. The Los Angeles Angels went into Miami to take on the Marlins. The Angels would prevail in this one. 3-1 would be the final score. They are now sitting at 3-2, while the Marlins are still looking for their first win of the season. They have now dropped to 0-6. Tyler Anderson would get the win for the Angels. Jesus Luzardo would suffer the loss, and Luis Garcia would get the save for the Angels. Texas Rangers were taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays would get this victory. 5-2 would be the final score, evening up their record at 3-3. After the loss, the Rangers are now 3-2. Zach Eflin would get the win. He is now 1-1 on the season. Andrew Heaney suffered the loss. He's 0-1. The Atlanta Braves went into Chicago to take on the Sox. Chicago would get their first win of the season. They are now 1-4. After the loss, the Braves are 3-2. Garrett Crotchet would get his first win of the season. He's now 1-1. AJ Minter would suffer the loss. He's 0-1. While Michael Kopech would get his first save of the season. Chicago Cubs blew out the Colorado Rockies. 12-2 would be the final score. With that, the Cubs are now 3-2. The Rockies have dropped to 1-5. Javier Acid would get his first win of the season, while Kyle Freeland would suffer his second loss of the season. The Toronto Blue Jays took on the Houston Astros. This would be a nail-biter. It took until the ninth inning for them to get the go-ahead run, and it ended up being the game-winning run. 2-1 would be the final score on this one. The Jays have now evened up their record at 3-3, while the Astros have dropped to 1-5. Chad Green would pick up his first win of the season, while Josh Hader suffered his second loss of the season. The Cleveland Guardians were taking on the Seattle Mariners. The Guardians would prevail in this matchup. 5-2 would be the final score. They are now sitting at 4-2, while the Mariners have dropped to 3-3. Shane Bieber will get his second win of the season. Luis Castillo will get his second loss of the year, and Emmanuel Chase will get his second save. A lot of twos in this game. The St. Louis Cardinals took on the San Diego Padres. The Cardinals would prevail in this one. 5-2 would be the final score, evening up their record at 3-3, while the Padres have now dropped to 3-5. Miles Mikolas would get his first win of the season. He's now 1-1 as a starter. Yu Darvish would suffer his first loss of the year, and Ryan Helsley would get his first save of the season. The Boston Red Sox went into Oakland to take on the Athletics, and this would be a close matchup. 5-4 would be the final score. The Red Sox are now sitting at 4-2, while the A's have dropped to 1-5. Josh Winkowski would get his first win of the season, while Mitch Spence suffered his first L of the year. The Yankees were taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they are no longer perfect. The Diamondbacks shut out New York 7-0. The Diamondbacks are now sitting at 4-2, while the Yankees are at 5-1. Zach Gallen would pick up his second win of the season, while Nestor Cortez would suffer the loss for New York. San Francisco Giants were taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. This would be a close contest. 5-4 would be the final score. LA has now improved to 6-2, while the Giants have dropped to 2-4. Ryan Yarbrough would get his first win of the season. Logan Webb would suffer his first loss, and Evan Phillips would pick up his third save of the season. Alrighty, that takes care of the recap from Tuesday's action of the Major League Baseball season. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care.